Hello, my name is Buddy, and this guy here next to me is Juan. What do I say now?
Mm. Buddy. Um, Here we have the puppet and the puppeteer. Um, Puppet is a great passion of mine.
Of mine too.
Of course, you're a puppet.
Oh,
Yeah, and then we travel the world giving courses, talking to parents, helping teachers how they can connect better with their students, and having lots of fun. We're very happy to be here today with Queenie, sharing some of our secrets.
I've got lots of secrets too.
Are you sure?
Oh, maybe not.
I can tell you some.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Juan and Buddy. Welcome to the show again.
We're very happy to be here.
So am I.
Excellent, great. I think we'd like to hear from you today to see, what ideas and tips you can share with us with regards to using puppets within the home environment.
Okay, yeah, there are many things that parents can do with puppets. Instead of having that moment in which parents say, "Oh, go play," parents can bring out a puppet and say, "Come play." And then during this time together with children, they can create very beautiful memories. And during this time, they can connect with children in ways in which just talking would be harder because puppets bring all that fantasy, all that magic that it's important to be lived together with children during their childhood.
And why do you think it's important to have that whole connection thing between the parent and the child? And what do you mean when you say connection?
Well, nowadays people talk a lot about the time that we spend with our children. And I think that much more than the number of hours you spend with them, it's really the quality of this time, the time that you're totally dedicated to them, the time in which they get all of our unconditional attention. And puppets bring lots of emotions, surprise, and play is the way children experience the world. And through play, we can access this world of imagination, fantasy, and we can better understand them, and we can be together with them. And I think that the puppeteering and storytelling are ways of living time with our children with lots of quality.
Okay.
Yeah, I think too. Yeah.
Do you have children, buddy?
Mm-mm. No, not yet. But I can help. I can help. Yeah.
Okay. So you said that you can use puppets at home, but in what context would this be? What can you do to how where would you bring in a puppet? In what scenario would you bring in a puppet? Because I mean, if you're talking to parents who have never used puppets before in their life, okay, to tell them to use a puppet all of a sudden,
It's easy. It's easy. It's not that hard.
how would you suggest that they start off?
Well, I'd say that first they can, they might go to a toy shop with their child, and there the child's really interested in a specific character. The important thing with a puppet is for you to get a puppet that is neither too childish or too spooky for your child.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good thing is for your child to really have like this intrinsic interest for the puppet. And once you have it, it's like having another child in your house. So if
Good point.
your children are putting their toys away,
Mm-hmm.
puppet can help. If there's a moment in which it's time to brush everybody's teeth, it goes together.
I don't like to.
Yeah, and then you can have this very same situation. Then the puppet doesn't like brushing his teeth, which just by coincidence, it's something that happens to the child as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So then, and what you're gonna notice is and that's amazing that suddenly children are going to be teaching the puppet why it is important for them to brush their teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So also you can have the child explain to the puppet what things are, what they're used for, um, or let's say that you're playing a board game. You can have like you can if you're playing with a child, you can have the puppet as like being the third person who's playing the game. There are so many things you can do with puppet, and many times it's just bring the puppet.
Have the puppet looking around. Be silent.
And then suddenly the child is going to come up with something. I think that's very important, to leave space for children to create, not to come like with some kind of play in which you already know what's going to happen, or like there are things that the child's supposed to do. Just in a moment, stop,
Look around. And then the puppet can say, so, what are we gonna do now?
and well, then you're connected with your child.
That's a really good point, especially these days in the Asian context, and with you in Japan, I'm sure you see this a lot, where parents only have one, at most two, and three would be stretching it.
Yeah.
So I think in homes where there's only one child, it will really help to have a companion for him. And in Western cultures, we always talk about an imaginary friend. And I think this will be a little bit more real than an imaginary friend. Well, it sort of is, but at least you can see it, and you can see the child interacting with it. So I think that's a really good point that you brought up, that you can be a companion to the child.
Yeah, and then puppets can teach the child to take care. Yeah, to take care of me, for instance.
Yeah, children can like comb their hair. They can put them to bed. So it's interesting, like thinking about how others feel. And puppets are great to talk about emotions and feelings. Let's say, for example, the puppet, the child has had a bad day, and the child doesn't know how to talk about it. So the puppet can model that.
So I was late for school, and I forgot my homework, and I pooed in my pants. Yeah, so that wasn't a very good day.
And then by doing that, the child can then say, "Oh, my day wasn't good either," or the opposite. So sometimes, let's say that, for example, you want to tell the child something, you can use the puppet to tell the child. So then things like concepts and values, they can reach the child through an indirect way.
And that works.
And the thing with memory is really related to emotion. So by having fun, by really paying attention to what the puppet is saying, we can make learning very enjoyable and memorable.
That's a good point, because a lot of my childhood memories are not so pleasant ones.
Yeah, you should have had puppets.
I know, right? I remember learning a lot of valuable life lessons that in ways that are, well, we learn from consequences, don't we?
Oh yeah,
And
sure
trial
we
and
do.
error, and most of them are not really nice ones. Like you say, a lot of our childhood memories are tied in with our emotions, and in as much as I wish that they were positive emotions or the nicer ones, in my case, it wasn't so nice. And I think these days parents want to try and find a different kind of childhood experience for their children, where they can still learn the same things, but in a less mean, painful way. So I think puppets would be the best way to do that. Also, I was just
But Buddy's telling me something here.
Yeah, well, one thing that we can do, like, when it's homework time and children don't like reading, they can hold the puppet and the puppet reads for them. And they are not reading, it's the puppet.
Yes, that's true, Buddy. And also, then what happens?
If there is a mistake, it wasn't the child, it was the puppet. Oh, silly puppet.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, because most children are afraid to try because they don't want to make mistakes, right?
Yeah, and then, for example, you can have the puppet trying before the child, and then the puppet makes a mistake, and then you show that it's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another good
And then the
point.
puppet gets it right, and then the puppet is confident.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've helped lots of children. Yeah.
Um,
But they don't help me.
Come on.
Just kidding. They do.
earlier you mentioned that you can have the child teach the puppet or take care of the puppet. Why do you think that's important? Do you think that's an important thing for children to learn?
Oh, definitely. And the best way I believe that one can learn is when one teaches it.
That's a good point.
By giving the child this moment in which he or she has this leadership position, this moment of like owner of knowledge, then the child can revisit and recreate this knowledge, explaining it to the puppet. So I think that's great. You know, when you're a child, you all the time have like parents telling you what you should do.
Yeah.
So nothing like more beautiful to see, like, I don't know, like a 4-year-old teaching a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So well, this can happen with a puppet. So then, for example, you can have a puppet who behaves like really badly during meal times, and then the child, you know, like teaches the puppet, and then you know what, the child praises the puppet when the puppet does things right. So yeah, I mean, I think that works wonders.
They learn. I know.
Yeah, buddy.
I like the whole concept of the child teaching puppets. I think that's absolutely brilliant. And you brought up a really good point. A lot of us learn when we teach. And that's why, you know, both of us are teachers. We are constantly learning, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I really like that because most times we always feel that, you know, children are so small and they're so little and they're like an empty vessel that we have to fill up.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, but both of us, since we're working with young children, we know that with regards to learning and young children, a lot of knowledge and understanding comes from interaction, comes from self-discovery, and which is why I think Buddy is absolutely brilliant. Every home should have a Buddy.
Buddy, eat a little bit less, yeah.
So, like you said earlier, to get started, they can go and get a puppet. What else do they need to learn? What else do they need to be able to do to get started? Do they?
I think an important thing is like, so as I've said, I choose a puppet that appeals to your child. Try this puppet on, see if it fits well, because you're going to be inside it a long time. So check how expressive the puppet's face is. If the puppet's got an arm, that's really nice. And then like think of a voice that you can create for your puppet. So it's very important for the child really to notice who's talking. Uh,
Another important thing is for the puppet to move its mouth. It's very strange if I talk like this.
yeah. So that's another important thing. And try it out maybe, I don't know, once or twice in front of the mirror, and then but with your child. I mean, you don't really have to. You will learn through doing, and just go and enjoy being with them.
Yeah. No, I think it's really fun because with a puppet, you can also do storytelling time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And I think a lot of parents have lost the art of storytelling, like spontaneously telling stories,
Yeah.
not with a book or anything. Because our grandparents would tell us stories like folklore and, you know, very cultural stories that were passed down by generations that they tell through memory. But these days, parents don't do that anymore. They need a book or some kind of visual aid or cues, you know. But I think with a puppet, it can be quite spontaneous, isn't it?
Yeah, and then again, like you have two people, so then you can tell the story, and then the puppet corrects you, or the puppet tells the story, and you ask the puppet lots of questions, and then in a way, like you're you're modeling how the child can ask questions. So yeah, but puppets are fantastic, especially because like they will say those things that are sort of forbidden that nobody says. So yeah, definitely.
I think that's great because look at Buddy.
Look at you, Queenie.
I like Buddy because he's like a full-bodied puppet, right? Can you
Yeah.
just lift him up so we can see what he looks like? Yeah, so he's got 2 arms and 2 legs, which is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, that's me. I can stand on one leg.
Yeah.
So, would you recommend that we get something like that, or because most
Oh.
times, hand puppets they just a head.
Well, any type. The very nice thing with Buddy is that Buddy can walk. Yeah, you can have like Buddy walking. The very important thing is for you to hold it in a way that the puppet looks real. So, for instance, I can hold it. I hold it like this. I can hold it as if it was like a baby, like this, or I can put it on top of my knee. But if I hold it like this,
That would look very strange, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's like
so
floating.
the important thing is really for you to ground your puppet in.
You're gonna ground me?
No, not that type of grounding.
Okay.
It's so then the puppet looks very real.
Okay, so now I need to go and get myself a puppet that's a full-bodied one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you know that there are some that you can even put your arm inside the puppet's arm.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Yeah, and when we talk about puppets, there are many different types of puppets.
Yeah.
You have like finger puppets, you have glove puppets, you have like hand puppets,
Like me.
you have marionettes, which are much harder. You have cone puppets, yeah, and then because what is a puppet? A puppet is just any inanimate object that you project life. So then, for example, like suddenly you can have like so then here like this is not grounded, yeah. Oh,
Hi, Buddy. What? You have the same voice as I do?
there's a mistake there. Hi, buddy.
What is this? A talking pen? There's space just for one puppet here.
Jealous. Is somebody jealous?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Couldn't be.
Then who?
Queenie.
Yes. So then, for example, you can like play with nursery rhymes. You can sing songs. There are so many things you can do with puppets.
Yeah, it does look like that. It looks like you can
Yeah.
have a lot of fun, like hours and hours of fun.
Yeah. Another very nice thing for you to do is to relive with the child either hard moments or very enjoyable ones. So you can have Buddy's birthday party. So then, like, we prepare, and then the child remembers his or her birthday party. Or you can project, for example, a situation in which, I don't know, like the puppet lives something that the child has lived, and then the puppet thinks of different ways to get out of that situation, or the child helps the puppet. And also, let's say, for example, the child's going to start school, then
Guess who's going to go to school before the child?
then we can like pretend that the puppet is going to school, and then we project the feelings that the puppet likes school, that the puppet's having lots of fun and making friends. So then, indirectly, the child is going to feel more confident and know that school's a great place for them to go to.
Yeah, and I think it's also very important for them to know that they're not in it alone.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they have a buddy.
You know, sometimes they can even take their puppets to school. That's fun.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
idea because I know some schools, some preschools here, in the whole process of helping the children cope, especially with the early days of school, they let them bring something from home, and then eventually they'll also have show and tell, so you can bring a few more things from home to show to all your friends. And I think that's a very very nice picture because there will be certain things that children get attached to, and when you can tell people about it. It brings out a lot of self-confidence and also lets them practice public speaking skills and trying to just simple things as communication. And I can see here that Buddy is a really good tool to have when it comes to teaching children about language skills. Most times when we say language skills, a lot of parents think about reading and writing. But I think it's more than that. It's about communication. It's about communicating your feelings, making yourself heard, making sure people understand what you need. And sometimes when a child talks to an adult, there's just too many rules and boundaries in the way. And you being in Asia, right, that children has to be respectful. There's a certain way that they need to speak to adults. It's not the same status. So I think with a puppet, they can be literally like friends. They can be like peers. So there's no and of course I understand that a lot of parents want that kind of they may be used to the kind of status difference, and in their own way it may work to their advantage, but I think having a puppet to bring yourself down to a child's level yet still keeping your status is a good way to bridge the gap.
Sure, definitely. And one very nice thing is that when parents have these moments of these moments are called like gems. They're like genuine encounter moments, and just being with children. Then children feel heard. They feel seen, and then suddenly they will tell their parents something that otherwise they wouldn't have. So it's important to like to have some silent moments, to be together with a child, giving reaffirming looks, and this is very important for their self-esteem, because our self-esteem really depends how much significant people and important people in our lives value us. So, well, I think puppeteering is such a beautiful and ancient art. It's pure magic. Pure magic.
No, I love the whole concept, and I do use it in my classroom, but not in a purposeful way. And I think after meeting you and speaking to you and Buddy, I realized that there's so much more I can do if I was intentional about it. And there's just so many teachable moments and opportunities that I could have seized if I was more intentional about it, which is why I asked you to come back for this podcast, because I think that if we can use a puppet in a classroom in so many different ways to do so many different things, then having it in a home would be a plus as well, especially since parents are not trained in pedagogy and working with young children, and most of them are just going through the whole parenting experience through trial and error anyway. So this would be a good thing to try out at home. But puppeteering is such a big word. Some people would think of it.
And also, I believe that for parents, it can be very, very relaxing to be with a puppet, having a moment in which they can play, they can have a laugh together with their children. Yeah, I think it's really wonderful if parents allow themselves to be with their children in the company of a puppet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, so beautiful. I think I'm gonna cry. Puppets are so fantastic.
Come on, buddy.
But we are, aren't we? Ah.
How many puppets do you suggest a family has?
Well, I mean, it's up to every family. I mean, you can have just one that you like. I mean, if you're having finger puppets, I say, you can have many. I mean, you can have many different animals. It's very nice sometimes. For some puppets, you can buy like the mom and the child. So yeah, so that's great. So then, for example, you can have the child being the mom, and then the parent being the child puppet. Yeah, so that's very nice. for children to play family with puppets as well.
Yeah.
And I like the whole idea that when you bring a puppet into the scene, everything changes. Everything becomes magical, becomes animated. And I really like that because without a puppet, you would otherwise not be able to do that. You can't do that with anything else. You can't do that with a dog. You just can't, right? I mean, I was trying to think really hard about another time where you can, but I don't think you can. Most times children play with teddy bears. But it's a bit strange with teddy bears because parents can't really manipulate it to talk in a way that looks real. But
it doesn't move its mouth, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a huge difference that way. So so I think that's quite interesting, and I think a lot of parents, especially in a classroom, in a classroom, we try to get the children to we try to teach them that there's a place and time for everything. So there's a time to be serious and to talk about brainstorming different concepts and ideas, and then there's a time to get silly, to just throw out very random ideas that are totally out of this world. And for children to understand that there's a place and time for these two, and not you can do whatever you want all the time. You can actually just bring in a puppet, and they sort of understand that when there's a puppet there, you can be silly and it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, but even if, for example, let's say you have a moment in which you're brainstorming, you can have a serious moment with the puppet as well. Or you can, for example, let's say the puppet puts out a challenge for children to solve. So that's like an important moment of the class, and the puppet can be used.
Can you give us an example of that?
Well, let's say, I don't know, like
Solving a problem in the classroom.
Yeah.
Maybe with children being too noisy.
Yeah, for instance, yeah. So then
We can ask children ways in which we can be quieter.
yeah. So for instance,
They can say that the teacher can have a bell, or that they can whisper to each other, or I don't know.
okay, buddy, don't get nervous.
Stop asking me all the time like this, You have to tell me the questions in advance.
Oh, buddy,
This is an interview. Everybody's gonna watch it.
come on, buddy. It's all right. It's Queenie, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I've been in any other interviews with anybody else and have so much fun before.
Thank you.
This is brilliant. But I think it's good. I think it's really good that with a puppet around, we can brainstorm ideas and discuss problems outside of a situation, so that the child doesn't feel like they're being targeted when you're talking about them, or talking about something that they did that they shouldn't have done. So you can always just blame the puppet and problem solve with the puppet, and the child doesn't feel like they don't feel like they're self-conscious, and they're learning a lesson when they have their guard down and they don't feel like they're being attacked. They are more receptive to what you have to say. And I think what you demonstrated earlier was a really good example of that.
And the very interesting thing is that with puppets, you can talk about very serious things in a very playful way.
How is that?
Well, like this, for example, like you can talk about the importance of studying, of respecting others, and with the puppet, there's humor. The puppet talks in an informal way, so they really relate to what the puppet is saying. They can interact with the puppet because usually in these moments in which like they notice they're being taught, they might feel that it's a moment in which they receive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then with the puppet they can interact, and well, as I said earlier, it's you have lots of emotions. You're involved not only cognitively but also effectively. So this makes learning very, very
Spontaneous.
spontaneous and really memorable. It's a very assertive way of teaching.
Yeah, that's a good point. But earlier you also mentioned that you can use puppets to speak to children about traumatic or disturbing experiences.
Well, I mean, I think this really gets out a little bit of my role as a teacher, but I think parents can do that. Therapists certainly use puppets, but you can talk. You can like project a situation on the puppet, and then the puppet. I can say that it wasn't that bad. I can show them there was a good side. I can teach them how to avoid that situation in the future. Let's say, for example, like a child has gone to school and then has been bitten by another child. So then you can talk about it. Maybe try to understand why things happened. I think an important thing is creating an environment in which children like can express their feelings. So everything we express, everything we verbalize, doesn't get so big. So and I mean, there are lots and lots of techniques, and people like study a lot on ways of like talking about more serious things with children. But puppets really create this safe space in which children feel heard, they feel seen, they feel valued, and then just being in this type of space allows them to feel confident, to really feel cared for.
Okay, I'm writing down notes here.
Okay.
Because there's just so many interesting things here that I'm learning today, and I think the parents should know this as well.
And
Juan, give me the balloon.
a balloon.
Yeah, there's a balloon over there.
This one?
Yeah, this one. Up, 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 up. I play with it. Up. I'll get it.
So then another thing is
With a puppet, just bring out an object. Any object. Then the puppet already is doing something. Like, I have the balloon now.
yeah. So then you together with a child you can create a game with the balloon.
Or, for instance, I'm thirsty.
Here, have some tea.
No sugar. Ugh.
Yeah, buddy. Come on, it's good. Let me try it. No sugar.
I was right, see?
So I mean, you can teach the child to do lots of things, yeah. And also the child can again teach the puppet. So when you're with the puppet,
And you don't know exactly what to do? Just bring out any object.
yeah, it works really well.
That's brilliant. I didn't think about that. I always thought that it's a handful enough having a puppet in one hand,
Yeah.
and then having another object. That would be a bit of a juggling act. But yeah, Buddy was having fun just now with the balloon, aren't you, Buddy?
I love balloons.
Then one trick that parents can do is like this. It's called a triangle. So when the puppet says something really odd,
I can eat 5 watermelons in 1 second.
then you can look at the puppet, you look at the child, and you look at the puppet again. It's fantastic, yeah? Like, what's happening here, yeah?
That's brilliant.
I fly to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that this has been a really, really good session, and you've talked about some really valuable things that you can learn at home with your child, with a puppet, that I really feel that it's quite impossible to recreate with anything else. And definitely talking to them directly would be quite difficult, especially when it comes to, like you mentioned earlier, challenging situations, difficult situations, and practicing communication skills and also laying maybe like ground rules or talking about do's and don'ts. So I think this is really, really good idea. It's a good idea. But before we go today, do you have any last advice for parents?
Advice.
Wow. Now you've got a hard question. Let me see what you're gonna say. Good, Queenie, give me 5.
Well, I'd say that you don't have to be perfect. The important thing is really to be together with your child. And well, these techniques, you might pick some others might be hard, but just like enjoy being with them and give them space. Give them space to talk, to be themselves, and like in this moment, really celebrate it. Really like tell them how special they are, how much you enjoy being with them, left together, and celebrate the beauty of being together. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good advice. It is.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That was a good answer, hey, Juan.
Thank you, buddy.
He's really good, isn't he?
Come on, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show today, Juan and Buddy. It was absolutely fantastic chatting with you again. We will definitely bring you back in the future.
Thank you, Queenie, so much. Queenie. I like you, Queenie.
Thanks, Queenie, for having us on your show again.
No, thank you. Thank you for being here today.